Hi, this is Ken with ASM, and this video is going to cover using the mod matrix in the Hydrasynth. While I'll be using the Hydrasynth Explorer, this video should help you if you own any model of Hydrasynth, as the engine is the same across all different models of Hydrasynth. The Hydrasynth has many exciting features, but the most exciting, in my opinion, is the depth of modulation possibilities. Hydrasynth has 5 envelopes, 5 LFOs, and a host of onboard macros and controls. The mod matrix allows us to route these modulation sources to a variety of destinations, 32 in fact. Using a combination of button presses, you can quickly map out your dream patch in just a few quick and easy moves without menu diving or hassles. First, let's decide on what kind of patch we want to make. I really like evolving wave scan type patches, so let's start in the oscillator section. I'm going to first change the mode to a wave scan, and then I'm going to populate the wave scan list. So let's go in here, hold down Shift, and I'm just going to start with a saw wave, hit exit, and let's see our wave scan here. I'm going to hold down LFO3, and then I'm going to press the wave scan button here. And now I've already mapped in the mod matrix LFO3 to oscillator 1 wave scan. There's no amount, however, so let's turn knob 4 here to increase the amount to 128. Now what you'll notice is when it hits the bottom of the LFO waveform, it's just stopping and we don't hear any more movement in the wave scan. That's because LFO3 is a bipolar LFO and we're at the starting position of the wave scan. So if I was to go back to the wave scan here and set this to 4, you're going to hear that it's moving back and forth. But what if I want to start from position 1? Let's go back to the mod matrix. We can select LFO3 and turn the knob here until we see LFO3 plus, and that means that we've changed from being a bipolar LFO to being a unipolar LFO, where we're only getting positive values. So now we have that smooth wave scan back and forth across the entire range. Let's go ahead and set the rate of the LFO to be a bit slower here. We can also change the shape to a triangle. And now let's go ahead and set up our filters. So I'm going to first select a filter that I want to use. I'm going to use the low pass FAT24. I'm going to set my cutoff down here, probably around like 25, 27. And then I can do a envelope amount. Now, to set the envelope amount, LFO1 amount, velocity envelope, or key tracking, I don't even need to enter the mod matrix. I can do it right here. You can see that this is indicated by the dotted lines that are connected here. These show that these are hardwired mod matrix connections. What's nice about this is, in addition to being able to have these quick access modulation points, we can also route them in the mod matrix as well for added flexibility. The LFO1 amount here is actually going to be a bipolar amount. But if I want to set that to be a unipolar behavior, I would just hold down LFO1 and press filter 1 and then set the amount here. And again, we're going to change this from LFO1 to LFO1 plus. And we'll have that routing. Now, if I want to erase this mod matrix routing, I just hold down the initialize button and press the mod matrix slot, and it will erase that position. Now let's go back to that filter. And remember, we have envelope 1 amount set to 31. So let's adjust our envelope a bit. I'm going to drop the sustain. I'm going to give it a little bit of attack here, a little bit of a decay, and some release. And I'm going to give envelope 2 a little bit of release. All right, now we're getting somewhere a little bit nicer. Now that we have that set up, we can plan for some interesting modulations. Let's set a looping envelope to adjust the rate of our Wavescan LFO. First, I'll press envelope 3, and I'll adjust the curve. I'll set the envelope loop amount to infinite. And then I'm just going to press and hold envelope 3 and then press LFO 3. I've now set envelope 3 to modulate the rate of LFO 3, but I don't have an amount, so I can set the amount here. But let's say we want this to be a little bit more controllable in a performance method. So let's set the amount to 0. Now I have no modulation amount here, but what I can do is I can then press macro assign. I'm going to press macro 1, assign, and then instead of just choosing an envelope or anything, I'm going to press mod matrix. Now I can select the mod matrix slot that I want to be controlled by this macro, and then set the amount that I'd like to control it within. And we'll name it. Let's name this rate. Hit exit. And you can see that my first macro is now named rate. And if I increase it, you'll notice that the LFO Wavescan, its rate is being controlled by envelope 3, but the amount of that is being controlled by my macro 1. Very useful to set these up as you're creating your patches. So you're controlling your mod matrix amount via your macros. Now I'd like to set some polyphonic aftertouch, but there's no button for the polyphonic aftertouch. So how do we set up that routing? All we do is we press the mod matrix button and navigate to an empty slot. From there, I can hit assign, and as a shortcut, I press LFO 5 and then just scroll to polyphonic aftertouch. Quite easy. Now here I'm going to set my destination. Let's start with filter cutoff, and I'm going to increase that by about 30 or so it's nice and controllable. And in addition to that, we can set multiple sources to multiple destinations and just kind of get really flexible with how we route things. So here I'm going to set polyphonic aftertouch also to my filter drive. Set my amount here. And I'm going to set polyphonic aftertouch to also take the amp level down a little bit. And that's going to compensate for that amount of drive. So now we have performance control right there from polyphonic aftertouch routed to our filter cutoff, our filter drive, and our amp level. In addition to that, let's say I want to map out a effect to our controls as well. We can press mod matrix, assign, and then I can choose, let's say, mono aftertouch, and I want that to go to my reverb. Set the dry wet level, and now we can add some blur. Let's increase the time of that reverb a bit, and we'll take the tone back a little bit. Now that we've set our basic modulations and kind of set this patch up, I'm just going to give it a touch of reverb, and you can hear how the modulation matrix is really playing its role. And remember, it's just very easy to set up modulation matrix slots. And for instance, I want LFO4 to be my oscillator 2 level. We'll bring that up a bit, and I'm going to set that to be, again, unipolar. We hope this helps you better understand the mod matrix, and remember to have fun and explore the mod matrix. You can do things like send MIDI CC both in and out of the mod matrix. You can modulate your macros with the mod matrix, and you can modulate your other modulations. So it's extremely flexible, but also quite easy to use. If you have any questions, feel free to reach us at our Facebook group or support@ashensailmachines.com.